So welcome back to this summer vacation edition of Beyond the Mountains of Madness, where we find our investigators still stuck in New York Harbor, not yet having moved yard one on their journey, as it were. But since it's been a hot minute, we should probably go around and just introduce the characters and the wonderful people behind them. So starting out with one of our academics, Dr. Wigglesworth, for a change.
My name is Dr. Wigglesworth, player name Jacobu. I'm happy to be here. I'm a specialist in geology, glaciology, really anything that has to do with rocks and earth formation. I'm your guy.
And hopefully the ship will know to stay clear of most of those, but we will see. So continuing the academic theme, we of course have Mr. Stoddard.
Yes, Stoddard is a paleontologist who's very eager to see what's actually hidden in the ice. He's a little grumpy about all of the brouhaha that's going on, but he's, you know, the people supplying the money aren't necessarily the ones that make it go, as it were.
That never were a truer word spoken. And speaking of keeping things, or at least people, going, we have Roger.
I am Roger Tremblay, the physician of the group, who somehow got caught up in some sort of clandestine affair and hopes to never repeat that again.
And speaking of what happens when somebody accidentally repeats anything again, we have the intrepid reporter in the group.
Yes, I'm playing Valentina Rousseau, and we're going to see what kind of trouble we could start at a funeral.
Exactly, for it is indeed the morning of the 8th of September, and we have the group gathered just after breakfast within the usual melee in the common room at the Amherst Hotel, where Professor Moore has asked you to attend the funeral of Commander Douglas with Starkweather and himself, saying that it is important, after all, for the expedition and its members to pay proper respect and tribute to the man. Apparently, it's going to be held at a place known as St. Bridget's Cemetery, but it should be a brief affair, and then the day would be your own before you return to the ship, not the hotel tonight. For the idea is that as you're sailing on the morrow, that you spend the last night in town on ship, so that the departure on the morrow can be as smooth and efficient as possible.
So after the funeral is our last day to fix all the missing holes, is what you're saying?
Basically, yes.
Oh, what time was the funeral?
It's 10 o'clock in the morning, so it's about 8:30 at the moment. So it's basically time to get to wherever.
Should we do a luck refresh before we get too much farther?
That would be an excellent idea.
How do we do that again? We roll luck, and if it's roll above,
If you fail a luck roll, you get a D10 luck.
Okay.
That's how I always explain
I probably won't. I have really high luck because I did really well in the other refreshes. Yeah. It's the one roll I'm passing. Everything else I'm going to fail.
Oh, which reminds me, I've managed to lose.
Be back in 2 seconds. Do not wait for me. I'm just around the corner. I have to grab something.
Yeah, let me reload Quest Portal because I think it's doing that rolling thing where the roll doesn't work.
Fantastic job, Wigglesworth. Kudos to you.
Feeling lucky today.
I'm putting you in the front of the group, man.
So that's there. Oh, yes. That is quite the...
Well, you know, whenever I watch the virtual dice on Quest Portal, I always fail. So this is just a good strat here.
And on that note, just to say that I haven't completely forgotten, the theory is that there will be enough time on the boat journey south for things like experience checks and such things to occur.
Well, if I succeed on any rolls, I'll gladly take advantage of that.
Anybody would think you're using my dice.
You should see how I roll when I'm GMing. I people are like, "Oh, you're so nice." I'm like, no, I literally am rolling this badly. I'll run entire games of D&D for teens, and I won't roll a single die, a single thing over 10. I'll be like, "Are you kidding me? How did I roll a 3, a 2, and a 5?"
Mm-hmm. The dice know the dice know the game better than we do. That's for sure. So the question is, since the expedition is running a little bit short on vehicles at the moment. In the last vehicle that wasn't exactly isn't exactly in running order at the moment.
Well, we're in the city, so public transit even then was still pretty integral.
Yeah. You can just jump on the subway, and it'll take you most of an hour to get across Long Island to get down to St. Bridget's, but
I mean, it'd probably take that. I mean, city is not exactly was never particularly driver friendly.
that is for sure.
All right, I gotta go get dice because Quest Portal is not.
This is not responding on the roller. Yeah.
No, at all again. So I'll be right back.
Yep, no worries. So we will.
Could I ask a question while they're getting dice then, Stefan?
Yeah.
From the aspect of information, are we sending stuff back to the mainland, like reports and stuff like that? Like if Valentina is could write stories for the Globe and like send them back, is that possible or no? Yes.
At least initially, it would just be over straight ship radio.
Mm-hmm.
Whilst you're within reasonable range of the main American continents. The plan being that you'll head down the East Coast, go down through Panama, and then cut across the Pacific to Melbourne. Once you start getting beyond out into oceanic Pacific territory, you're probably going to have to go long wave and talk to Kingsport Radio up in Arkham with the big radio mast that they put in for the Miskatonic expedition a couple of years ago.
Yeah, because that's the guy I talked to that was on the expedition before, correct?
Pabodi, yes.
Yep. Valentina is planning on writing a series of articles on the trip down, so I was just checking that was possible.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And so how does that work exactly? Once we're out of range of the mainland, are we going to contact them through like a Morse code long range transmitter, or what do we do?
Yeah, it would be plenty of radio use roles, as it were. But at least at the moment, there are highly competent radio operators on board, so that's hopefully okay. I guess it will depend somewhat on exactly how fanciful the stories get as to how likely they are to be properly transcribed.
If they're boring, they'll be spicy. If they're too unreasonable, they'll get toned down. No matter what, it works against you.
How'd you do on your luck roll there, Roger?
I put it in the chat. Not good, or good,
Oh.
but not good.
So we have Wigglesworth. We have Valentino. We don't have Big Zeus. We don't have Edgar. We've got Roger. And we've got Charles.
Is there a way to get a tooltip on who they are?
One would hope so. But I've not managed to find it yet. Not that I've looked horrendously.
I recognize a couple there. See them more.
So as you come up the sunlit road / mortuary path, you see at a respectful distance from the couple, from the funeral, Professor Starkweather and Dr. Moore. And standing up by the coffin is, you recognize Detective Inspector J.J. Jonason. Actually, no, I tell a lie. There is a road priest. There is a gentleman in a black suit. And yes, also the third there is the detective inspector of the New York police that you met or came across earlier. So that's one on the top left. But go ahead and make a spot hidden.
So regular success for Valentina.
I actually got a hard success. The one skill I ever succeed on.
Regular.
Okay. Well, most of you spot a little ways away from the overall scene as you're approaching, particularly Valentino, a man in a turned-up trench coat, large fedora hat, brim pulled down, just more or less hiding out behind one of the gravestones, but quite clearly keeping an interested eye on the goings-on.
Does this look like one of the reporters we saw outside the ship?
He kind of oozes reporterdom, especially to Valentino's eyes.
I don't notice, so I continue on to move up beside Starkweather and Moore.
I would take note, but just keep moving forward.
Okay.
Stoddard probably kind of grunts, kind of like, probably mutters under their breath about, vultures or something, and keeps going because, like, it's a funeral. Like, they're not. I mean, funerals usually aren't invitation only, so it's not like this was a secret that was happening. It's just someone's being a weirdo and lurking, and even if he doesn't register reporter, we've been dealing with reporters around, so I don't think it would trigger as a threat per se. Like, I don't think he's not like, oh, I know this is a reporter. It's the, someone's lurking because they're, it's like, people who like to look at the accident.
You think he's just gawking, huh?
What, they're a reporter or they're a gawker. It's just like things have not gotten so bad that he's like, oh, that he's going to be jumping at to the assumption that someone means him ill. So whether it's a gawker who likes a good scandal, or it's a reporter who's also a gawker who likes a good scandal, it doesn't make any difference to him.
I'd be worried about a detective. What did we ever do with that guy we kidnapped?
Well, the cop the cop is there openly, so
we turned that guy over to the police. So
yes,
eventually.
Okay, now I'm remembering that.
Yes, because some of us went, what exactly do you expect us to do with this guy?
Yeah, I wasn't willing to go on the run before we even left port.
Oh, maybe we should talk to the police officer and find out what he does have to say about all of this business, if he's willing to share, of course.
And I just realized there is, so just to retroactively move things around, there's Inspector JJ, there's a man in a professional looking dark suit, there is a man in a very hastily put together dark suit, and there's the pastor. And then, of course, there's the fugitive reporter. But yeah, JJ wanders over to you and says, well, I guess it's a sad end to a terrible business, but we'll get to the bottom of it. At least we'll know where you are.
Out of your hair? Wait, was that the cop talking to us or someone else? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's the cop talking.
Out of your hair and out from under your feet?
That's certainly one way of looking at it, and it's the way I'm choosing to look at it.
Turning into ice cubes?
I would hope not. I'm not going to speculate on the amount of heat where if it does turn out that you've been involved in anything other than what you've told me about over the last week, the temperatures of where people like that tend to end up. But that's for the good pastor, not for me to say.
He kind of chuckles.
Good thing I don't believe in that kind of stuff. So
And the pastor goes through the normal rites, thus the whole dust to dust, ashes to ashes bit with a ceremonial shovel. And goes back a couple of steps and comes back out with a small box with a captain's cap sitting on top of it that he gives to the gentleman in the hastily put together outfit. They exchange a quick few silent words. If somebody wants to do a hard listen, you might be able to overhear what's said.
I'm just curious, is there family resemblance to the commander?
There is most definitely a family resemblance.
Okay. And yeah, I think somebody said they wanted to snoop.
Valentina just got a regular success. So
Okay.
I mean, I feel like there's not really like if you're standing around, they're right there.
Mhm.
It's like if I hear it, I hear it. If not, well, it's windy. I'll probably fail. I fumbled.
You're
no,
still
you're fine.
You're still involved in the conversation with JJ at the
He's
time,
nice.
and the you're guessing the commander's brother, since you believe that he did indeed have one, turns to the last gentleman and quite audibly he says, my thank you, Mr. Brackman, for your help in these awkward and sad times. I will trust that you will take care of the final arrangements. And the man, Mr. Brackman, just clearly nods and turns to leave.
Does anybody want to stop this man? Talk to him?
I can't think of a reason why
Me neither.
without sounding terrible.
And the gentleman who is finally dressed, he's just been kind of sitting there quietly the whole time?
He's apparently this Mr. Brackman that the brother has turned to, and
Oh, okay.
so possibly the attorney of the family,
Or executor of the will, or whatever.
exactly.
I mean, we consider that this was quite sudden, so we don't think there'd be any interesting things declared in the will, do we? Guess we'll never know. There goes the lawyer.
Well, you could. He's not moving particularly quickly, so it's well within capability for anybody who wants to catch him up and ask.
Does it look like that other reporter is following him, or is he staying with the group?
He looks to be staying with the group. After all, if the last few days is anything to go by, wherever you lot are is where the news gets made.
I've seen some things with this group, some things I didn't think we were going to have to do until it got really bad down there in the ice.
I blame the other two. The two ladies in the group swept me up in some things.
I'm speechless.
You know what? I'm gonna catch up to him.
Certainly.
I do want to know. I do want to know, and I do say, excuse me. I'm wondering. I know that this was probably something sudden that had occurred with the captain, but wondering if there's anything of interest that he might have put in his will. You are the solicitor or their lawyer, are you not?
Yes, I happen to be the representative of Brackman and Associates.
And I know it might go against, confidentiality with your clients, but, with how sudden all this happened, was there anything that unusual that he might have spoken to you about prior to anything happening, or perhaps you've already said all of this to the private investigator already? I'm sure he's asked you many questions.
Other than, I guess it's allowable for me to say that I did meet with the deceased back on September the 5th, but what we discussed would have to be dealt under attorney-client privilege.
Then maybe just answer me this. Did he seem like he was in his right mind? Because there seems to be, I don't know, there's a kind of a folie à deux seems to be happening.
If you would consider being irascible and irritable within his right mind, which from what I understand from his brother was the case, then yes.
Okay. Well, thank you for giving me some of your time. Enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
Likewise. So, with the remainder of the group, Starkweather and Moore also take the opportunity to start to depart back to their vehicle, since they still have a chauffeured vehicle with the Expedition logo on the side. Inspector JJ wanders off, whistling down the path. You notice that the brother is hanging back by the graveside, possibly just in reaction to the events of the last few days.
Is he pretty much by himself?
Yes.
Valentino would probably approach him and just say, or just ask him, are you going to be okay? Do you need a ride somewhere?
Why? Thank you for the offer, miss. I'm sure I can get a hold of a cab just outside the gates. But if you are offering, it would be a kindness.
Sure. We can share a cab. Now,
So,
kind of walk him.
Yep. You get to meet a bit closer up Mr. Philip Douglas, an upstate New York farmer, middle-aged man with a pinched face and a thick brown mustache that could be seen as making up for a receding hairline. I'd say go ahead, Valentino, and anybody else who cares to, and make a social roll of some kind.
I'm afraid to make a social roll. Can we just go with he's just kind of his standard, like he just kind of gruff and not particular, just kind of.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. We going with the status quo of not engaging. That's fine.
Stoddard is not he's not, a super cheery, chattery person. Like when the captain was described, I was like, is anyone looking at Stoddard at that one? So, he's not going to be rude, and but he's not making small talk per se unless something comes up. So. I will leave it to the skilled, the people who are actually social.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to. I want to be more of a sympathetic ear, and maybe I can roll psychology instead.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
I'm glad you have 50 points in psychology.
Yeah. Just, so I can read people, understand, be able to talk to people during their times of troubles.
Yeah,
Dr. Tremblay is indeed lucky that he has 50. 1 point less, and that could be awkward. However, Dr. Wigglesworth seems to be able to lean upon his experiences of upstate New York as part of the digs out that way to start what seems to be an innocuous conversation that does eventually lead into the story between the two brothers. And it does turn out that in reality, Philip has no real idea what the commander's business was in New York. He was rather surprised to read in the New York press when he arrived yesterday about the the commander's connection with the Starkweather expedition, because he knew that his brother had sworn over and over again that he would never, ever, under any circumstances, return to the ice. Apparently, Commander Douglas went to stay with his brother for several months when he came back after his trip aboard the Arkham with the Miskatonic Expedition. On the way back from the ice, he had to have 2 fingers amputated due to frostbite. He was a much changed man, somber, introspective, and given to spells of brooding in which he would drink to excess. During those bouts, he'd ramble in a disconnected fashion about some of the things that apparently he'd experienced whilst at the South Pole. And when he would fall asleep, it was quite often that he would wake sweating panic from some dream or other. But he could never recall what he said was in his cups, and often would just deny outright that anything that had happened actually had happened. But with enough repetition, Philip had managed to piece together some bits and pieces. There's one tale where 3 men went snow crazy and attempted violence on their fellow crewmates. 2 were restrained and finally recovered, but the 3rd ran off into the snow and was never found. In another story, the commander would speak of some icy black stones found on the ice and how cold they were. And Philip got the vague impression that those stones were somehow linked to his brother's loss of 2 fingers. And of course, the name Danforth would come up frequently. The commander would often just shake his head and say things like, "That poor, poor devil Danforth." At other times, he would just demand, "Blast you, Dyer, police your crew and make him stop that damned screaming." It took about 3 or 4 months for those plunges into gloom to become less frequent until they vanished altogether. Some 6 months after his return from the ice, the commander left the farm to take up his duties once more. But after that, apart from infrequent letters, Philip had no direct contact with his brother until a telegram arrived saying he would be up to visit sometime early this month. And yeah, that's basically the random bits and pieces that you manage to gather through the 45 minutes of dancing along in the back of a New York taxi cab.
Wow. Okay. I thought New York was intense.
Did I notice if that reporter followed us?
The reporter was following you at sort of a discreet distance as you were walking towards the gate, but you think you lost him in the taxi cab.
Okay. Is the where we dropped this guy off somewhere close to our hotel or no?
No, he gets dropped off at a rather more downscale hotel. The Westbury.
Okay. So I was after.
And trying to remember who I could do with my own notes now.
Was this the same hotel his brother was staying at when he passed?
It is.
Do we happen to remember what room that was?
Go ahead and make an int roll.
Oh no, failed that.
Yeah, on top of everything else that's been going on, that random number seems to have slipped your mind. That, or you can't just find the note in your notebook where you thought you'd written it down.
Was this a room that we'd ever been to? I don't remember. Or was it? It was the one that the knocking. I think we were at the room once.
I don't think we were. We never really investigated it.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
thought there was the
anybody
time we
ever
went up
wants to
and Starkweather was banging on his door.
That was our hotel. Because he was yelling at more.
Did he change hotels?
No, that was up above our room. That was the floor above us.
Okay, I missed something, and that's fine. I'm not going to worry about it.
Since I can't remember the room number, I would ask the group if it's okay if we make a stop before we head back to our hotel. I assume we're going to have to go get all of our stuff and put it on the ship next, so we have it there for this evening.
Yes. Yes, heading back to the ship and being allocated your various rooms and so forth is definitely on the agenda before 7 p.m.
Is there anything urgent in the last minute scramble to get things taken care of? Like, we've got a little bit of time. We know things have been a little slapshod. I assume Suze is actually working on making sure the kennels are fixed if that hadn't been finished already.
Yes, she's spending. She's already at the ship, taking the dogs for one final long mush, as it were.
Yeah, but it's the like we've been kind of cracking down, trying to get things together. Can we do like is there anything like last minute supply that was like left undone that we can tackle in the last few hours?
I would just like to stop by a bookstore before we go. I want to see if they have a copy of the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Dr. is not feeling great about it, but he's been thinking about the expedition all through the funeral. Still worried about the potential for saboteurs or misplaced provisions, quote unquote, any number of things that could go wrong here. What are we missing from our master list that we had initially received? Are we still pending outstanding items before our expedition goes?
At this point, all outstanding items on Dr. Moore's lists have been ticked off and accounted for.
Hey, was it just that one book that we had reason to look into, or was there another one? I feel like there was or am I just thinking of the Poe book? Because I might be conflating books in my head right now.
Well, we had
I think there is a slight conflation, but it's perfectly understandable because the manuscript that was that seemed to be the target of the kidnap of Heroge was apparently an addendum to the Pym story. If what Mr. Rausch said was correct.
Okay, and what's the book that you're looking for the copy of? I'm just making a note of it.
I'm looking for the published edition of the Arthur Gordon Pym. So without the thing is all I'm looking for.
Okay, so I just didn't, I missed the important part of the name, and that's perfect. Honestly, I think Stoddard wants to go along just to get something to read in general. Like, it's gonna be a lot. It's like, he was like, yeah, it's like, that book's a good idea, but also I want to bring something to throw in my pack because this is going to be a long run. So he will go on the book expedition.
Absolutely. And whilst I don't have the complete text of the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket, I do have a synopsis that's now in the notes section. And let's see. That's that one.
It doesn't want to load, but that just might be my internet.
Yeah, I can see it. It's quite the read that I might have to do on my own time.
Yeah, it's definitely not a game time one at the best of. So one copy or multiple copies of Poe acquired.
Oh, Stoddard's also, like, he's literally just looking for, it's like, I need something to read. He probably does end up with a pulp novel because it's not going to survive the trip. But, There were some sci-fi. There were some authors making their breaks through at this point, or getting their first very cheap paperbacks out.
Yeah, well, there is this one guy, Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Yeah, he's got some great adventures, very fantastical and not at all realistic, but it's a fun imagining of a Earth that could have been many years in the past. Totally.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they're available for all of a nickel each.
Yeah, he's gonna grab, like, they're not big, but also there's only so much room to carry, so he'll grab, like, I don't know, probably 2 or 3, because we're gonna be on the water for a while. And then if we're on the ice and we need something to burn, we can burn the books, which actually is a thing that happens with a lot of backpacking.
There's always the outstanding question of, can you ever pack enough toilet paper?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's a huge thing with like through hikers. They'll cut books in half or in pieces, mail the second half to where they're going to be going in a bit, or like at a stop point. And as they read, they will literally use up the book because you have your weight is everything you have you're carrying, so it's a thing that happens a lot in thin flimsy paper has its uses.
Oh yeah, along with toothbrushes with sawn off handles.
Yeah.
So, and I'll assume that an actual bookstore or two are visited as opposed to merely going to the New York Public Library.
Yeah.
Mainly because I believe that at this point you're probably well known enough that any librarian worth their salt is going to ask, then when would you be returning these?
But also, I think for our purposes, owning one would make sense anyways. I mean, obviously, whoever's with me can disagree, but Stoddard would be team. Let's just go get our copies, whatever we're doing.
So, any other thoughts for your last day of freedom before you're crammed into the constraints of the SS Gabrielle for months on end?
Buying some chocolate bars and stashing them in my gear.
Just going over the manifests again and again, and at this point, probably the crew list, just to try and get some names down in my head and understand how the ship operates.
Just picking up some more writing supplies and such. Maybe some more film for my camera.
Can never have too much.
I think I'd like to personally go check the storage and do inventory if I have some extra time. I'll go down with the master list and ensure everything is stowed away.
That is a very good idea. And you'll run into Seuss in doing so, as she's busy stowing away her charges.
Very good, very good. Most important passengers are in place.
And I'll make sure that there's an extra crate there that you're not sure what it is, but it's definitely not filled with my hooch.
I'm sure it's more likely to be filled with Seuss's hooch, but yes.
If she gets to it first.
You have it delivered sort of care of you, so you think everything is there.
Well, if I run into that crate, I'll put it on the list while I'm shaking my head. I'll just pencil it in.
And so we'll move forward to the later on in the afternoon, the golden light of the early evening setting in, and we see the Gabrielle brightly lit against the darkness of the early evening, the crew struggling and shouting underneath the lights. And even from the street, the hiss and the roar of the winches, the cries of the men can be clearly heard across the water. Everybody is busy getting everything put away and ship in Bristol fashion. You pull up in front of the pier. The armed guard put in place a few days ago checks you through with familiar nods. Feels a little bit odd just going in through the regular entrance as opposed to, say, sneaking in through the back of the Italian post office next door. But, well, you never know. Might grow on you. everybody is busy amongst the stevedores and the crew, so you're left to drag your own luggage along the tracks and up the gangplank to the or gangway to the ship. You hear and see the cargo booms in nearly constant motion. Bright yellow drums of gasoline are being hoisted aboard and stowed below, 3 tiers deep in the number 2 hold forward of the deck house. There's clusters of stevedores at work in the pier shed and on the dockside, moving the drums up to a point where a pie plate sling carries them aboard 5 drums at a time. And then more men labor at the hatch and in the hold, stowing and dunnaging the drums. 3 of the pier shed's rolling doors are open. At the number 3 hold, there's an 18-man gang of stevedores and some shift crew are shoring and tying down 2 large boxes containing aircraft wings. That scene is also loud and confusing, with shouts, clanging of drums, the hum of winches, hammering stevedores, and rumbling dollies. And you can't help but get yelled at a couple of times as you just kind of rubberneck at the sheer busyness of the ship as it gets ready. But you are met by one of the stewards on board who brings you to the mess where Paul Turlow, the first officer, is directing the operations on the ship. And you're each given your cabin assignments. Now, ordinarily, Starkweather and Moore would be in one of the 2 owners' cabins, but since there are a number of members of the not male persuasion aboard, they've given up that right and have taken a couple of the crew cabin or officer cabins instead. So we have Valentino sharing with Dr. Malaeus in one of the cabins. And we have Miss Sinclair with Miss Miles in the second double cabin. Across from them in the officers' quarters, we have our 2 paleogeologists, so Dr. Stoddard and Dr. Wentworth. And then we have Mr. Tremblay and I believe one of our other Mr. Charles Myers of the University of Illinois in Chicago, who's an archaeologist. And then the cabins further forward are filled in with the other more senior academics and gentlemen there's also a number of grad students aboard that have that get to room with the crew at the far rear of the ship.
So the rooms, it was Susan, Rossi, Stoddard, and Wigglesworth?
Yes.
Okay. For some reason I heard Wentworth, and I was like, that wasn't right.
Yeah, no, sorry. That was
and
my
then
mistake.
Tremblay is... who does Tremblay have as a roommate?
Tremblay is sharing with a Mr. Myers, who's the UIC archaeologist.
So an NPC or one of our backups?
An NPC at the moment.
Yeah. No, I know that. I know. It might come in, so I wanted to write down where we were.
Absolutely.
He is quite the educated man. Hopefully he's not boring.
As long as you don't mind going 12 rounds of boxing after 20 laps around the ship on a morning.
Okay, I mean, that's a little intense. So yeah, I'm out. I might do a couple of rounds to, run around the ship a couple times. So that's about it. Definitely got to stay healthy.
But yes, he's not a particularly stuffy academic. He's more of a out and about, outdoors. So probably would have been, in some respects, a better room companion for one of the two Banthro
Our academics.
technologists, but the luck of the draw.
They think we're boring, Stoddard. They don't know a good rock when they see one, I say.
Good rock, good was a body a couple hundred years ago, I am definitely interested in what we're going to find, though, because those fossils sound fascinating.
The mining equipment that we have, the drills. Apparently, it's an improved version of what the last expedition went with. That should really be something. I haven't had a chance to review the specifications myself, but I've been eager to with all this time we'll have.
Yeah, no, review sounds definitely makes sense. From what from the bits I've read, there's some of their data collection and recording seem to have been flawed. So, but always any preparation's better than none. So.
I don't like the sound of flawed.
It's more just, I mean, I don't know if flawed the right word, but they were, you've read remember the news, the reports where people were saying contradictory things. I think they got a little too excited about some things and got more imaginative, that their imagines get away from themselves a little bit. I want to know what's really out there, though.
Well, I'll take a look for myself, but there's always speculation amongst folk and reporters.
Of
I'm
course.
more interested in the facts and what the professionals think.
Mm-hmm. Stefan, it is fair for us to have opinions like that. That wasn't too meta knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's perfect.
Okay. Just checking. fanciful, letting theories get ahead of facts. We're here for some truth.
Yeah, I imagine Dr. Wigglesworth and Professor Stoddard will have plenty to talk about in their time spent in the cabin. I'm sure it's going to be a tight ship, despite the luxury that we're traveling in. There's only so much space to be.
And so the evening passes in quiet excitement. The noise from the ship getting packed at the last minute continues, frankly, under the bright ship lights and pier lights. But I guess the question is, by the time, call it about 10 p.m. rolls around, where would we find the group or the members of the group?
Is there kind of a common area, like a hangout area, like there in the middle, or just kind of a something like that?
Yes, there's the officers' mess that's in between the rooms on the ladies' side, as it were, and your side.
Probably sitting at a table, hanging out, maybe playing cards or discussing just different things. There's probably a lot of buzz about leaving in the morning, I'm sure.
Okay. So we have you. Sort of back there. In which case, you're all caught somewhat by surprise as shortly after 10 p.m., the orderly transfer of cargo is brought to an abrupt halt by the muffled sound of an explosion, crash, broken glass, and a sudden whoosh of flames from dockside. The sounds are clearly heard throughout the ship and are loud enough to awaken the other sleepers. Then you hear shouts, curses, the sound of slamming doors, and the rush of footsteps from all over, as everybody that's able to move races for the deck.
Yeah, including Dr. Wigglesworth.
Need to be.
Yeah.
I think we're all going to be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, good. It's not the ship. That's always helpful.
Fire! Someone shouts, fire! Fire! In the distance, a man begins to scream. From the rail, the source of the panic is clear. Fire has broken out amongst the remaining fuel drums in the shed. Several have exploded, shattering skylight windows high above and sending sprays of burning fuel in all directions. Gasoline flames leap skyward, and a stream of burning liquid runs across the pier to cascade into the water beside the Gabrielle. 3 slumped forms lie motionless just inside the shed's nearest open door. Somewhere inside, other men cry out from the pain of their burns. Stevedores run in all directions on the dock, most fleeing towards the safety of the street. One man staggers as he drags another man down the pier, paying no attention to the other man's screams or the flames that lick up from his trousers. Stevedores on board the Gabrielle stream up from the holds and down the gangway, cursing and waving at the acrid smoke, and join the exodus to safety. From somewhere forward, a pair of sailors race to the deck, only to stand gaping at the devastation alongside the ship. There's another whoop from inside the shed, and tongues of flame lick higher as something else begins to burn. A wave of heat washes heavily over the ship. James Starkweather arrives on deck with a clatter, his collar and tie are gone, his shirt unbuttoned, and his hair awry. "What happened?" he snaps, then freezes as he peers over the rail. "Great Scott!" In the hellish red and yellow glow of the fire, you see a steel rope cargo sling dangling level with the ship's side, about 6 foot away from the bulwarks. 5 drums of gasoline are suspended there, held over the river light of fire like some disastrous popcorn popper. On deck, another 15 drums stand about the open number 2 hatch. Many more are already stowed below. You reckon that if the drums in the sling explode from the heat, those flame may set off the drums already on board the Gabrielle. First Officer Tello snaps an oath and leaps for the bridge as his remaining on-deck crew begin to cast off the lines holding Gabrielle to the pier. Starkweather turns to you. "Come on, lads," he shouts as he sprints down the deck. "Follow me, to the winch," he yells and grabs a few fleeing stevedores. "Cowards," he cries, "help us fight this thing." A huge burly fellow snarls and smashes a fist to his jaw as he races for the gangway. Starkweather goes down for the moment. No stevedore slows his flight. There's a wave of acrid, oily smoke curling over the deck. Somewhere, a steam whistle begins to blow. Starkweather sits up and gestures towards the winch controls. "Move those drums," he commands. Pulling himself to his feet, he glances around for a moment and heads for the nearest fire hose valve on deck. From the moment he twists open the valve, it's clear he can't control the powerful water jet by himself. "Help me here," he beckons to you all, as the hose threatens to whip out of his grasp and snake wildly across the deck. What do you wish to do?
Okay, really quick recap. So there's basically getting the winch to deal with the stuff that's hanging over, basically drop it into the water, and fire suppression are the 2 tasks, right?
Alternatively, there are
Or run away.
there's runaway. There's bodies inside the warehouse.
People in danger, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And also getting the ship undocked, unmoored, and away from the fire as well.
That too.
Is the winch holding the barrels? Is the winch controls on the ship or on the dock?
They are on the dock.
Okay. Valentina's going to go that direction. She's not going to be much help with the hose, I don't think, or dragging bodies.
Okay, so she's heading back down here, and
I'm not a strong fellow, but my first inkling is to help the people. There's people dying in there, and I've got to try and see if I can help them. Anybody that needs help, I will assist, get them away from the fire, give them
so you're
medical care.
gonna go and see if you can duck inside the conflagration. Just to give fair warning on that, it is a very virulent, very hot, very smoky fire in an enclosed space.
So dangerous and stupid. Got it.
Well, fine line between stupidity and bravery. Tends to depend on the result.
Stoddard is going to help with the fire hose, because my original thought when you started saying fire was how can we smother it? Water and gasoline isn't the best option, but it's not like this. It's not like we're looking at modern suppression systems. So smother it any way we can. Since we have someone going to get the the winch is someone's going towards. I'll go towards to help control the hose.
Yep.
All right, having studied the manifest, I'll start barking orders at the crew while the captain and Stoddard are getting the fire suppression ready. You there, man the line. Set sail, raise anchor. What are you doing there? Is he still asleep? Wake him up.
That's exactly what I would picture Dr. Wigglesworth doing.
It's good to know that characters are characters.
Just when the shit hits the fan, we know where Dr. Wigglesworth is, giving directions to everyone.
You there,
they should
Roger.
be
What
handling
you're doing is stupid and dangerous. You go.
Once a professor, always a professor. Absolutely. Okay. Well, since it's the closest, let's see how Dr. Stoddard gets on with the hoses. I'm just quickly going to look at. Come on. Good. Okay. 65. So the question then is, would Dr. Stoddard care to roll a strength roll, adding 65? Because Professor Starkweather is also on the hose.
Yeah, my strength is 65. Did I? Sorry, my
Okay, so you're rolling against a score of 130 in reality.
Okay. Okay, so I have to. It's been a while since I've done strength checks. So basically, I have to get a higher level success than you get. And do I have assistance do I have advantage because I have the assistance?
You've essentially got the advantage of I'm adding up your two strengths for the purposes of making the roll.
Yeah. Okay. That's very kind. Let's see. So I will roll. Can I do percentile of the dice? D100. Roll. Well, it's a good thing you added our strengths together.
Yeah.
Because that's only a normal success at 130.
Well, let's see what the.
How do I roll so badly?
You're playing the right game with the wrong dice.
Oh no! If I was playing a roll over system, I'd be rolling low.
That's what I'm saying. Against you.
I'm gonna also be rolling manually from now on because Quest Portal is stalling on me.
Yeah. Yeah,
This
I
is probably
didn't
my
actually.
internet, not Quest Portal.
I didn't actually see the one go through, so I think that's just Quest Portal rather than your connection. Frankly,
Okay.
they've been the dice roller has been flaky all along.
Do you want me to re-roll since you can't see it, or do you want to go with what it was?
I'll let you re-roll since I can't see it.
Okay. There we go. Dice. Where's the dice in here? We got a boop, boop. We got dice. That is a 55. So that is better than half.
That is a hard. So to go along with the hard that the dice roller rolled for me, so that's good. Go ahead and roll an intelligence roll.
All right. I rolled a 31. Let's see if my sheet.
Okay.
If I can see my sheet. Oh, I can see my sheet. That is a hard success on intelligence.
A hard success in intelligence. Very well. Then roll a persuade roll with a bonus die.
Okay. A 30 and a 10.
Ooh,
So
nice.
I think I know I have one of them. So let me get down to persuade. My persuade is 45 and I rolled a 10, so that is a
That's a hard.
That's a hard.
Sadly.
I didn't hit extreme.
Yeah. Would have needed. I mean, you could try and spend a point of luck for the extreme because you're only one off.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do it. Take the luck.
Because you have the sudden insight, and the reason for the extreme persuade is that you're talking to a panicked Professor Starkweather.
Yes. Yeah, no, totally. I marked the luck. I'm spending the luck to persuade. What are we doing?
But instead of attacking the flames in the warehouse, which is pretty much a forlorn hope, you instead direct the flow of water over the gasoline drums on deck and possibly even the 5 drums hanging over the water to cool them down.
I am down for that because I also thought there was fire on the ship. I was trying to keep the ship from exploding because there's a lot of gasoline on this ship. And if this goes off, it's going to cause even more damage.
Yeah, I mean you're fully bunkered for 5 months.
Yeah, this is
that. Yeah, you don't really want fire to mix with that.
We don't want fire to mix with that. We also don't want it. If the ship goes off, it's going to cause even more danger. Like, yeah, there's people in the warehouse. It's gonna the chance of getting them out if the ship explodes goes to 0. So yes, that I am down for this for this plan. It works very what you had me roll persuade on is very much in line with where I was thinking. So
So I'm going to now ask the brave and mighty Dr. Tremblay if in his rush down the gangplank to get to the warehouse and possibly incapacitated people, is he going to be taking any precautions? And if so, what?
I think at this point, the only thing that I can think of in a pinch is I'm just going to try and put a wet cloth over my face and hopefully try to keep some of the fumes out. But I think that's about as good as it's going to get.
Okay, perfect. In which case, I am going to ask you to make a spot hidden roll.
Ooh, that's not good. I am looking around. My eyes are not sharp. Maybe I should be wearing my glasses. I don't know, but
Okay. I'm going to ask you for 2 con rolls. The good news is that because you've got the cloth over your mouth and nose, they can be normal con rolls. They don't have to be hard con rolls.
phew, I made one.
You made one. Okay.
Am I starting to succumb to a bit of
you're
the
starting
fumes?
to. At first, you're driven back by the flames. I mean, you could try and push it, but obviously, failing the push is going to cause you to fall unconscious close to the fire.
Yeah, I'm not going to be pushing these rolls.
Or
Like,
you,
this
or
is a
you,
one
you,
and done.
yeah, you could. I mean, there's still nothing too much has happened. I'll give you a
I might.
power roll, I think.
Okay. Because what I might do is if I'm struggling to get through the flames to reach anybody or find anybody, I might also just start. Yeah, my rolls are terrible. I might also just
Ooh.
kind of
Yeah.
stay nearby,
Mhm.
further back away from the flames, and stay nearby and wait to see if they can get it a little bit under control, so that I can try and see if I can help anyone.
Get in sort of at
The tail end of it.
the first moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, the flames basically drive you back. Meanwhile, Miss Russo, how is your operate heavy machinery?
Not good. So I could very well blow up the ship here. So.
Where's Big Suze when you need her?
Mm-hmm. Taking care of the dogs.
Heck,
Big Suze can do all of this.
where's my backup alt, the mechanical engineer?
So do I need
well, having one final night on the town because they haven't had it so far.
So is to operate heavy machinery, or is it possible to use something like mechanical repair?
I'd let you go with mechanical repair.
It's at least better than one. That's an 84, so that's a no. And I don't know that I'm going to spend 64 points of luck.
Points of luck. Well, somebody was talking about having a lot of luck lately.
That was me.
Yeah.
I've got enough. I just don't want to have any left.
That's fair. So yes. What else can we consider here? So yes, the between the red smoky light and the unfamiliar controls in the cabin and just the sheer heat of the metal controls, you don't really manage to get much going with the crane. However, I will give both you and Dr. Tremblay another spot hidden roll.
Oh my goodness. I managed to pull it off.
I got a hard success.
Okay. So both of you spot a crouched over figure moving behind the warehouse, actually moving towards the street, carrying some sort of large object at a fairly high speed, but still controlled.
So going in a direction that no one else seems to be going, just trying to leave the entire scene of the
Yes.
of the fire.
Would a psychology roll pick up him doing something suspicious, or can I just assume that?
That is suspicious as all suspiciousness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then Valentina's going to leap from the crane and chase after him.
And I'm going to come at him from the other side.
Okay.
We'll try and box him in, right?
Right. We're two combat characters. We'll be fine.
That's why there's two of us.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, basically what will end up happening is you end up running down the length of the warehouse as the entire warehouse by now is completely ablaze. And you get down towards the chain fence towards the next dock along, which it appears that the gentleman in question, who's now discarded his large, well, you can just about see outline the large beware gasoline sticker on the metal jug container that he was carrying. And he's gone to try to leap the fence, but unfortunately it's just too high. So he's essentially caught between you and the fence. So he just turns, puts his back towards the fence and brings up his fists.
Do we recognize this his face yet, being this close?
It is not a man that you have... actually, Valentino, go ahead and make an education roll.
Education.
Does he look German?
Not quite as German as the figure on there looks. I had to grab a...
I believe that's a hard success.
A hard success.
Yes.
How close to an extreme were you?
Fifth of 75 was 15. I was about 14 points away from an extreme.
I'll
Would it
leave it up to you.
Something worthwhile to spend luck?
An extreme would let you know who it is.
What the hell? I got to spend it on something. I'll spend the luck.
You recall, because you wrote the story on him the last time he went upriver. He's I think his name might be Jerry Polk. Basically a small-time thug. But he's been arrested numerous times and has served at least 2 stints that you can recall.
And he's got his fists up in front of us. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess he's a little bit more better of a brawler than we are.
You wanted to get in trouble again, Jerry? Want to go back to jail?
It's just the two of you and you, sir lady. I'll get past you.
Well, I will pull my gun then, because my fisticuffs is not the best.
Okay.
I will try to jump at him to tackle him down.
Okay. Well, since I'm going to ask Valentino, are you intending to use the gun as a firearm?
Probably not this turn.
Okay. I'm imagining that I think Valentino absolutely has a dex over 45. What about the good doctor?
Yeah, 70.
Okay. What's Valentino's?
70 as well.
70. Okay, so basically you get to look at each other and decide who goes slightly before the other, as it were.
If you can tackle him, I'll try to crack him on the head, I guess.
That sounds like a plan. Just don't count on me being able to do that.
Okay, so that sounds like a fighting brawl maneuver from Richard.
Can I use luck on this one?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I will spend 4 luck to make that a success, I suppose.
Okay.
And hopefully he feels his.
I'm going to fight back because that's the kind of thug that I am.
How dare.
71. So that's an outright failure. So you've managed to grapple me down to the ground. Now the question is, can Miss Russo finish off the combo?
We'll see if this works. So that'd be a fighting brawl roll to pistol whip him, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's a miss.
Yeah, you managed to just clang the chain link fence as the two of them are just rolling around. So with that, I think I'm just going to headbutt Richard.
I'm going to fight back in the hopes that I can continue to grapple him and hold him down. That's probably
Sure.
a bad idea.
Well, let's see what.
But I'm on a roll.
There you go.
47 versus 25. Okay, so yeah, no, you managed to maintain the grapple because I failed my fighting brawl because I am truly a small town crook, or small time crook rather.
I yell, Valentina, try and knock him with something bigger. You got like grab a brick or something.
Is there a piece of debris or something around?
Oh, absolutely. We're in the midst of a conflagration wooden building. There's bound to be embers of timber and stuff around.
I'll pick up a brick or
failing
something
there
like
might
that.
even be packing chains and so forth. So I'm sure there's something that would impersonate a two-handed club.
Well, instead of hitting him with something, is there rope or something around where I can start tying him up?
Oh, sure.
Since he's got him grappled.
Oh, sure.
And what kind of roll would that be?
That would be, since he's still resisting, that would still be a fighting brawl, a fighting maneuver. So fighting brawl.
Damn it. Okay. Oh, but that's a success with a 21.
We'll go with the fight back. Ooh, okay. However,
Oh,
we managed to instead get a kick in. Now, we might be okay here. Let's see how good he actually is. Okay, yeah, 50. That's an extreme. So unless you'd luck down to an extreme, but we're only doing a kick, so we'll do a D6 plus a D4
ooh. You get knocked the hell out.
for 6 points.
Ooh. That is half of my.
That's okay. I
Oh.
need to do above half at the moment to cause you to con roll.
Yeah, you did. I went from I only have 11 hit points, so that's over half. The hit
Oh,
points.
okay. In which case, I'm going to have to ask for a con roll.
There you go. That I got. Easily.
Oh yeah. He quite clearly is a fighter of barroom brawls and so forth, and is quite unused to the fact that vulnerable spots differ between the two sexes.
Hmm.
So you made Doctor, I believe you actually got your actual action this round to go.
I'm wondering if I'm just gonna, knowing medicine as I do, I'm just gonna see if I can kind of choke him out, pinch off the carotid artery, and hopefully make him go sleepy
Sure,
time.
you can
if
roll
that-
a first aid.
Wow, Roger.
Gotta go with what you know. All right, let's see how this. I mean, if you're gonna let me roll first aid, and I'm gonna fail that horribly.
Oh my god. You can push that roll though.
Yes.
Well, is it count as a combat roll? Because you can't push combat rolls, right? Or is he allowed to push
I'm going to claim that this is a regular first aid roll just because I feel that the push here is going to be delicious when it fails.
Uh-oh. I'll do it. I just gotta see the. Whew.
There you go.
Okay. So yes, you managed to stop him moving for a short period of time as opposed to a long period of time.
Pardon me, I wish I could stay, but I'll need to back out here. Wigglesworth has given orders, and wow, cheering Roger on from the sideline. Amazing.
Well, good luck, and we'll let you know when we've managed to work out when the next recording will be. But thank you for the time you were able to give tonight. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, all. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you for joining.
Night.
And
This is Valentina. Are you able to tie him up now?
If he stops struggling, I don't think that'll be an issue. Is everything still burning behind us and there's more explosions, or?
so basically, by the time that all this has occurred, Professor Starkweather and Dr. Stoddard have basically been busy cooling down the ship and the drums, both aboard and on the crane. and you've managed to drag Mr. Poke, as his ID claims, actually back out to the warehouse that's fronting the street, because that's where you can easily get a hold of police. Since the fact that, you caught him red-handed, as it were, carrying not only matches, but also a gallon of gasoline.
And the authorities, we should be hearing some sort of sirens coming in the distance at this
Yes.
point? They're on their way?
There's between ship sirens, ship's whistles, bells, and clanging of emergency vehicles, etc. Yes. And if we scroll forwards about 30 minutes after the initial explosion, we see a tugboat taking up the lines from the Gabrielle. A large section of the pier shed roof collapses in a shower of sparks. Few minutes after that, the 3 boxcars on the pier edge rumble down the buckling tracks and into the river, someone having loosened their brakes, causing Starkweather to shout and grinning grimly. There's a wave of water that washes across the deck and extinguishing the few embers that land there. I'm going to have the 3 of you remaining to make another set of spot hidden rolls.
Regular success.
Yeah, that's a fail for me.
I rolled a 9 out of a 50, so that's an extreme.
Which is absolutely beautifully perfect, because you're still standing pretty much next to Starkweather. And you've still kind of got him a little bit under your spell from that persuade roll earlier. So you take a moment to swing your eyes back over the port, back over the port side of the ship. So out downriver. And you can see the lights of a ship departing downriver. So you reach out and just, without really thinking about it, take Starkweather's field glasses.
Yeah, no, he totally the like, I need to look at that. That's totally in character for him.
And bring them up to your eyes, zoom them in, and it's the Tallahassee, Acacia Lexington ship, being tugged out of harbor towards the sea.
Oh, he's not going to like that.
Do you tell him?
You know what? I think there's gonna be the damn. That's the Tallahassee, isn't it?
And the eyeglasses are just torn out of your hand. It's fortunate that you didn't actually put the strap on around your neck, or you probably would have broken your neck with the force.
Oh yeah, no, that would have just been a.
As he puts it off, and he just takes the eyeglasses and throws them into the river and storms off back towards his cabin. Meanwhile, her port side midships scorched and blackened. The Gabrielle is towed to a new dock downstream at Pier 66 within an hour, where an army of policemen, reporters, and Gawkers are on hand. Many questions are asked of everybody, and most of you pretty much make the morning papers as heroes. The police are clearly keen to have statements taken about Jerry Polk, since he's now up on 4 charges of premeditated murder by use of fire. At least 4 stevedores perished in the flames, possibly more. You do get to overhear his side of the story, or at least as it was originally given, which is that 5 days ago he was approached by a red-headed man called Doyle. Doyle paid him $100 when Jerry agreed to set fire to the warehouses of the Starkweather Moor and Lexington Expeditions. For each successful fire, he was to receive an additional $200 to be picked up the following noon beneath a bridge in Central Park. And I believe, let me just check here. I need to see if I have.
Did we know of a man named Doyle? For some reason in my head, I thought we saw a red-headed guy somewhere. I don't know why.
Red-headed you have come across, but the name Doyle doesn't ring a bell.
Okay.
And it turns out that in the end, at least according to the press, there were in fact only 3 fatalities, as the press headline of "Fire in Polar Ship, Dock Blaze Kills 3, Antarctic Expedition Threatened."
I'm starting to wonder if all this death is worth this expedition.
Well, someone certainly doesn't want us to go on it. With my knowledge of the other expedition, or I would probably ask one of the other professors who has been on other expeditions, like, is it always this crazy trying to leave port? Because there's been a lot of bad things happening. Like, does this happen every time?
This is crazier than usual.
Okay.
Now, as it happens, little serious damage ended up being done to the Gabrielle itself by the fire. The lost gasoline could be replaced probably in about a day or so, but there's still the question of the cargo that was left in the shed. Tents, the spare motors for the larger planes, the wooden skis for the planes. Now, on the morning of the 9th, Starkweather starts moving heaven and earth to obtain those items and have them shipped to New York City, but it's going to be at least 2 or 3 days before the last of them arrive. Naturally, Starkweather is just completely furious and is adamant that this is all a plot by Acacia Lexington to stop him in the water, as it were.
I would actually ask him, is there any way we could have that stuff shipped to somewhere that we're going past? That way we don't lose as much time?
Unfortunately not. It would take longer to get ahead of you than you would lose by waiting for it here.
So
now,
the other thing
sorry, yes, go ahead.
the other thing I'm kind of wondering about, did the press, and did they get headlines they got of the man that we caught, the Jerry Pope?
Jerry Polk, yeah.
So they know about him already. So we couldn't try to show up at the Central Park Bridge or whatever it is and try and pretend like he was successful, so he should be getting another payment.
You
But-
could still do so in as much as, yes, I mean, you'd be doing it against the backdrop of murderer arrested headlines.
Yeah, so I don't think that would really work.
We could
Also,
see if
the
somebody's
other-
seen a redheaded guy in the park, I guess, or being hanging out under the bridge. But
yeah, the other part of it is that, not surprisingly, security is increased yet again. So now hired muscle men are patrolling the pier day and night, and even the stevedores are checked against a list every time they come to work. And you're politely requested to remain aboard ship whenever possible and check in and out with the guards and the officer of the watch whenever you leave or come aboard. However, that, and of course the fact that the whole Pier 66 is absolutely surrounded by police and reporters, and you just know that you step 2 foot off the ship and you could do with learning a teleport spell or an invisibility potion. However, you do get a note delivered to you on the afternoon of the 9th, so the morning following. That should be in the public section now. The Nicholas Roche letter. If somebody would care to grab it and read it.
Is it my turn to do a reading?
Sure.
So we have, dear friend, I would like very much to speak to you at your earliest convenience regarding your voyage to the south. I shall be en suite this evening and all day tomorrow, should you find it possible to call. Yours sincerely, Nicholas Roerick, Suite 410.
The Northlands Hotel.
Or Netherlands Hotel?
Oh, the Netherlands Hotel, even, yes.
All right.
And I think with that, we will call an end to tonight. And I'd just like to thank you, my wonderful group of players, for an interesting night's shenanigans, maybe not. And we will be back in due course to see what they're up to. Good night, one and all.